Hello, dear friends. One of the videos that I recorded about a year ago wasn't directly related to Ukraine itself, but to one of the presidents of Ukraine. I told the story of his emergence and arrival on the presidential seat. However, at some point, for some unknown reason, the sound in this video disappeared. I was asked to re-record this video, and naturally, in response to your request, I'm going to tell this story anew. So it was the end of 2004. Elections were taking place in Ukraine, and one of the candidates was seeking to come to power. At that time, it was Viktor Yanukovych. Viktor Yushchenko was in opposition to him. They were two such odious personalities. At one point, Viktor Yanukovych won the elections. But thanks to, perhaps, lawyers or someone else, or maybe because it was some paid action, the opposition, led by Viktor Yushchenko, filed a lawsuit, and the court decided that new elections were needed. In the repeat elections, due to additional advertising, Viktor Yushchenko still won. One night, while I was meditating, I had several deep visions. It is also interesting that on the day when President Viktor Yushchenko was elected, a catastrophe occurred in Thailand. There was a powerful earthquake that led to a strong flood, resulting in 250,000 deaths. A very terrible disaster. A large-scale catastrophe. Understandably, that tragedy was probably one of the most horrific on the planet. And the night when this happened, I had these visions. I saw from a great distance our planet. I saw the god Brahma. He usually appears in dreams as a gray-haired old man. He wears pure white clothes and has a beautiful, graceful face. He possesses a surprisingly white energies. But from these energies and from him himself, no light emanates. You know, as if he were painted white. He seems bright and shining, yet at the same time, there is no light coming from him. This is what the god Brahma looks like. He can often be seen. From the stories my friends told me, I can confirm that many of them saw him. In some cases, there was a direct influence on human life from god Brahma himself. I saw his beard, I saw his face flash, and also his white hand appearing above the planet. While hovering his hand over our Earth, a certain axis connecting the South and North Poles appeared at that very moment. It was thin and transparent, as if it consisted of some kind of light. Brahma extended his hand in the direction of this thread and pulled it sharply. And at the same time, when this shudder happened, when he shifted this axis, a catastrophe occurred on Earth. Thousands of bodies were perishing, and thousands of souls were leaving them. I emphasize again, I saw it on the same night when this disaster occurred. It wasn't shown on TV yet. Only in the morning did I hear that this disaster had happened. And I understood who all those dying people were. I realized who was to blame for this tragedy. But the interesting fact was that I realized the inner background of what god Brahma was doing. He was acting like this for a specific purpose. He shifted the axis to create a tsunami and kill many people in Thailand. I realized that he was doing it for a specific reason, and he was doing it so that a certain sacrifice would be made. This was done so that a particular person would come to power in Ukraine. This was Viktor Yushchenko. This man is not a being of our world. His soul corresponds to the world of hungry spirits. If to look at him with spiritual vision, this fact can be clearly perceived. This is a non-human being, and his place is 2 levels below our reality. He should not be here in our world. But considering that we are now in Kali Yuga and a very powerful mixing is taking place, creatures from the world of hungry ghosts live on Earth, as well as inhabitants of lower hells. The level of holiness has dropped so much that we have absolutely no control over the arrival of souls to Earth. In that morning, I heard that literally 20 to 30,000 people died there. Subsequently, a certain number of dead people were added every day. and calculations were ongoing. A week later, I think, the full list was announced. There were around 250,000 people who died in this disaster. On the same morning, Viktor Yushchenko had been elected president after all, although I emphasize once again that he should not have been elected. There was a second vision that I also had, which followed immediately after that disaster. It happened in the territory of Ukraine. I observed a certain person in this space. He was of noble blood. He resembled a high spiritual being. I can't say who he was. I never figured it out. I can say he was a man. He wore dirty and tattered clothes, but his body and his spirit shone with pure light in all directions. He stood there, exhausted and tired. Opposite him stood a group of about 50 people. Among them, the chief was a special being. He wore a crown and was treated like a king. All these beings looked like the spirits that inhabit the world of hungry spirits. According to Buddhist cosmogony, there is a world located directly below ours and the animal world. It is called the world of hungry ghosts. Its inhabitants have a unique body structure. They have big bellies, large mouths, thin arms, and thin legs. They are constantly hungry. Opposite this man, from whom the light emanated, stood a group of such unclean spirits who were both malicious and greedy, and they treated him badly. I emphasize once again that I still don't understand who he was. I noticed a very intense glow and profound suffering from him. He was under a powerful influence directly from the god Brahma himself. At some point, God Brahma also appeared, and he compelled this man to bless the king of spirits, who was Viktor Yushchenko himself. His soul level is equivalent to that of the king of hungry ghosts. By the way, the topic that was very interesting to him, to which he devoted much attention, was the famine. Please note that in the world of hungry ghosts, beings are susceptible to greed. They are insatiable and perpetually hungry. You see, a person subconsciously gravitates toward what his soul corresponds to. For all 4 years, the only thing Viktor Yushchenko did was build monuments all over Ukraine in memory of the famine of 1932 to 33. But why should we do this if we need first of all to improve agriculture, some mechanical engineering industries, and so on? In my opinion, it would be more reasonable to build some kind of penitential temple to pray for all the suffering that we, on the one hand, provoked ourselves, since the famine was organized by us Ukrainians. On the other hand, the funeral service would be held for those who suffered and died during this famine. This would be much more correct. The very practice of building so many monuments is completely meaningless. This is an act of remembrance, but it should not be done 1,000 times, in all cities, in all districts. In 4 years, Viktor Yushchenko accomplished nothing. In my opinion, this is very strange and incomprehensible. In this vision, the suffering man blessed the spirit, and this spirit finally came to power. Despite the fact that this blessing was given under pressure, I realized that Viktor Yushchenko would not succeed in any case. Well, that's actually what happened. Everything taken by force brings no benefit. We must understand that the president is the soul that underpins the life of the state. The fate of the entire country depends on what kind of president we choose. And in this case, what did we see? Devastation, poverty, no economy, low salaries, and nonsense about needing to strive to join NATO and the European Union. Well, it didn't turn out any better, and for some reason, nothing works out now. This is the knowledge for today. See you next time.